Hi, this is Hope from Art of Hope Studios, and today we're going to talk about how to paint droplets. So grab your paint, your palette, and whatever you want to paint on, and let's paint. Okay, so this is a picture of a rose that I painted some time ago, and we are going to paint our droplet on here. So don't worry about the painting itself, is not the issue here. We're going to just really focus on how to make a droplet. So if I were making a droplet, and we're actually going to focus right here on this petal, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit more even on that petal itself so that you can see that up close. So I would start by just doing the circumference of my droplet first. And when you make a droplet, you want to choose your spot carefully because you want it to look natural. You want it to look like it's either sitting on something. Like I wouldn't make a big round droplet right here because it would be dropping off right there. I'm actually going to make it sitting right here. And droplets themselves they aren't usually round. They're more a little bit egg-shaped. So I'm making just a little bit of gray paint. So just a little bit of black and white here. And I'm just going to do a circle of where I want my droplet. And I'm actually going to make this droplet fairly good size so you can see how the process works. So this is going to be my droplet here. Just kind of sitting right here, and he's going to be a little bit egg-shaped because I want him to be a little bit more flat on the bottom than on the top because he's sitting on the rose there. So that's going to be the shape of my droplet. So droplets, if our light, we can see a little bit of light on the petal there. If our light's coming from up there, it's going to be more light there. We want it to look transparent, so we want the light to be coming in and then out. So that's our goal here. And droplets, because they're made of water, are a little bit like a mirror. So when you make your droplet, you want to think of it a little bit like a mirror. So I'm going to first take a little bit of dark color. And on the bottom half of my droplet, I'm just going to do a little bit of a shadow here. Now, since the rose itself, it has this red color, I'm going to pull in a little bit of that red and mix it with this shadow color, because that's what you'd see is a little bit of this reddish shadow color across the bottom here. And then I'm gonna lighten that up as I come toward the top. So I'm gonna take actually just the straight red right here, mix with a tiny bit of white, not much, because I don't want it to be too muted. And I'm staying inside my circle here. And then as I come towards the top, I'm going to take a tiny bit of white and mix it with some water, so it's real watered down. And I'm not washing my brush off in between, so take a little bit of white across the top. And since this is circular, everybody does their droplets a little bit different, but since this is circular, I'm going to paint this in a curved. This is just to get a look at it. So that's going to be the basic shape of my droplet. So what I'm going to start doing now is I like to take this just little tiny, not a flat brush, but it's just a little bit of an angle brush. And I'm just going to kind of smudge these together very lightly. I don't want to mix them too much. The illusion I'm going for is that you can see the red through the droplet and that the droplet is reflecting the red. But there's going to be a shadow at the bottom and light coming through. So I'm going to put a little bit of more light at the top because I kind of lost it when I did my blending there. And I'm just going to blend from this side a little bit more. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more for you so you can really see up close. Put that down a bit for you. Okay. All right. Sorry, that little wiggle bit there. All right, so that's my basic shape. So now I'm going to go in and refine it a little bit. So I'm going to bring the light really bright in here from the top. So that's where my light's going to be coming in. So I'm just going to round that I don't want to lose the brightness of it, but I also don't want it clumpy. So I'm just going to round that out there. And I want to keep my circular shape, right? Because it's a circle, we don't want it to look flat. Okay, so there's going to be my top light. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my red and just gently bring it across this middle. And I'm wiping off my brush in between almost every stroke. I don't want a lot of goopy paint on here. So keeping my circular motion, I'm going to bring in that red that's reflecting. I'm going to bring it down towards the bottom where it's dark a little bit. A little bit more. Okay. Now I'm going to take a little bit of white and I'm going to add a bit more reflection here because droplets just have lots of fun reflection. So this is my small brush. Now I've gone down back to my just little tiny, and I'm going to come around here just a little bit across the top, and then I'm just going to kind of smudge in that line a little bit, not much. Just a little. Now I'll probably I go back and forth between my flat brush and my round. I don't want to lose that line, so I'm going to wipe my brush off really good there. I like that white line there, really bright. Okay, and then I'm going to do another little white where I feel like the light is entering into. Now, a lot of people will leave that just like that. I don't think it looks real natural. So I'm just going to gently brush across it. So it looks more natural. Maybe grab a little bit of the red there. You can fuss with this literally forever. I have been known to fuss with mine a long time, but I won't fuss with it too much today. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's where my light's coming in, right there. And then it's going to be coming out on the other side. So I'm going to do just a little bit of light here, not much. But a little where it's coming through outside the shadow. Okay, it's pretty close to what I want. Now, the main thing, I'm adding just a little bit of red here to the side where I feel like it needs a little bit of brightness. Where it's reflecting that red from the rose. So a lot of times when I go back in and I put in colors, I lose the way my reflection is. So I'll go back and fix it a little bit. So now what we really need that's going to make this look like a droplet is our shadow. So I'm going to take some of my red paint and mix it with some black. You could also mix it with a little bit of green. That works good for a complement color for red. But for this, I'm just going to use a little bit of black. I just want to show you. So I'm going to underline my droplet here with the dark color. Not quite dark enough. I need a little bit more dark. I'm going to underline my color here, or my droplet here with the dark color, and pull out a shadow in the shape of the droplet. So if the light was shining down on my droplet, where would the shadow fall? Well, definitely underneath here. And then it would pull out a bit into the petal, where the roundness of the droplet casts a shadow there on the petal. And that's the most important part to me of the droplet. Dark and light to me make all the difference in a picture. I'm underline that just a little bit more. And then I add a little bit of red as I pull the shadow out. That's a very round droplet. You could mess with that a bit more. I feel like it could probably use a little bit more red. If I were gonna mess with it more, which I probably would, I would probably put a bit more red over here. I feel like it's not quite coming through the way I'd want it to. A little bit more red over here, and maybe a little bit more of the dark underneath here. Just like when we started, sometimes when you're fiddling with it, you kind of lose your darks and lights. So I would put a little bit more dark right here underneath. Maybe lose a little bit of that white on the side. There we go. And then I would take my white again, one last time, and put my light right here where it was coming out. In my little round half moon shape. And then blend that in. Feather that a little bit so it doesn't look so contrived. Add just a couple little light, yeah. Pretty good about that. All right. And that, my friends, is how you make a droplet. Have fun playing with that. Don't forget to find us, Hope Wirta, The Trouble with Being Me, on Facebook, and patreon.com/Hope Wirta to see more tutorials, subscribe, and like our YouTube channel. Thanks so much.